Greetings there, blade lovers and blade fans everywhere. This old sword is back with you once again. And guess what we've got today? Believe it or not, you're looking at a TwoSun knife. Yes, and a design by the extremely well-known in TwoSun land, Night Morning. There's his moniker, Night Morning. Kind of looks like a mountain. This is an extremely good-looking, I feel, an attractive knife. It's riding on the most recent wave in the knife world of Ultem, but they're not calling it Ultem. They're calling it PEI, which is the generic name. Ultem is a brand name. It's kind of like Kleenex and tissues. And PEI, did I say PIE? I meant PEI. So this is the 443 PEI. Let's validate that. Well, they're not calling it the PEI on the blade, but it is the 433, and it's in K110. Let's gander at that while I talk a little bit about PEI polymer. Polyetheramide offers an impressive collection of attributes such as high heat resistance, stiffness, impact strength, transparency, high mechanical strength, good electrical properties, high flame resistance, low smoke generation, and broad chemical resistance. So, although it's attractive, it is also quite tough in the world of using it in cutlery. And you can see right through it. So you can see the innards here. Somebody on Instagram wrote me, said he took the scales off and removed the excess oil. They do kind of soak these in oil when they come in. They have to travel from China. Yes, they're made in China. You can stop the video right now if you didn't know that and you don't like that. I'm not saying one way or the other, but a good deal of what we're buying is coming from there, including Kubi, Kaiser, Concepts, Bestech, Civivi, etc., etc. So if you're not into any of those knives, you're probably not watching this. Off the soapbox. It is a bar lock. It is a feat of many little engineering technical details here. The bolster is titanium and it is micro milled. So whether or not you can see it, there are some extremely fine lines running through on a diagonal on the bolsters. It has a titanium clip, and it has a all titanium, yes, frame. So lots of titanium here. They did budgetize on the steel. K110 is a bowler steel. It's kind of an upper end D2. So they probably do this. I'm thinking that rather than put D2 on the blade and people don't buy it, they put K110 on the blade. And it's more or less the same thing, although it's supposed to have a little better edge retention and a little better stain resistance is what I'm reading. A very nice little run of jimping here. So it is grabby and big honking thumb studs. And it will close. If you give it a good flick out, you got to use a little wrist with it. So this is true with many of the bar locks. It comes through with, I would say, a heavier spring than most bar locks. Even a heavier spring than the one I'm carrying here today, the MSI. That definitely does not have as strong a spring. And that's a larger blade, of course, so you got more leverage on that. But definitely feeling some good tension here on whatever kind of Omega spring or whatever they're using inside there. Locks up right there at the front on that pin with a visible groove, more or less, in the blade right there. The lockup is perfect. No lock rock, no blade play. I had to loosen the right side screw just a little bit to make it so that it would do that and so that it would do that. You may need to adjust yours if you pick one up. However, at this moment, these are not in stock at White Mountain. I grabbed it very quickly when I first saw it, and I saw White Mountain's Instagram demoing the knife. I thought it was a real knockout. It's a full-size knife, and we're going to take a look at the sizes, specs, etc. of this. What is it again? For lack of a name, it's hard to remember numbers. 433, and that's a 433 PEI. There is another version. Not sure if that's sold out. This is exactly 8 inches long, and we're going to call it a 3.4-inch blade with a cutting edge of like also 3.4, pretty much. It is a tall blade. It has a very high flat grind. We may do some paper slicing. We'll see how bold I get. 0.62 on the handle. So if you like skinny handles, probably not skinny enough for you. Blade stock of 0.14. Let's make sure I got that right up here. 0.14 in millimeters. That is, let's get it at the same spot, 3.5 millimeters. Finally, the weight, and I believe there is some weight relieving on the frame. Zero it out. Yeah, 5.12. So a little on the heavier side, but it has a nice feel to it. I must say. I just switched my scale to grams, so next time I'll be looking at grams. Anyway. So yeah, a little heavier, but what do we have for weight relieving inside? Anything? Nothing. That's why. Well, we're not going to say nothing because look at the thickness of those Ultem PEI scales. A good deal has been removed. And looks like the bolster and the frame are all one piece. So there's your milling right there. And do some magic tricks here. See if we can get that to glow a little bit. There you go. Get a little light shining through. Since there's no holes in the frame, you don't get much coming right through. You're just looking pretty much at what is directly underneath the scale. And talking about that, there is part of the spring mechanism. So you can see that move, I believe. There you go. Okay, check that out. You can see the mechanism underneath. So you could spend hours looking at that, kind of like your cat staring at a laser beam. Don't chase it around, though. So good size knife, as I said, allows me to put my thumb all the way on the back or cramp up a little bit and use the jimping that's provided, the short run. Pretty thick blade, or at least, you know, that 3.5 millimeters with a high flat grind. They keep a lot of point there, which you might like for a good EDC knife. And I think this is a really perfect EDC size and a perfect EDC blade config. I wanted to insert this little piece because I realized, finished up the review and didn't show you the spine of the knife or the backside. There's a back spacer out of titanium and a hidden lanyard pin. I figured those were features to share. And there she is again. As far as Ultem goes, I'd also like to share that this is my only other knife with Ultem. It's a pretty special one. Daryl Caston, made this, and this isn't out the front, called the Zulu. Love it. Featherweight, but very same handle material that PEI. This is the Ultem brand, however. At least they're calling it Ultem. There's your two Ultem knives. Ultimate Ultem. Maybe that's where the name came from. All right, be well. All right, I found a little piece of paper. It was handy. And let's see what we got right out of the box. Oh. I would say sharp, but could be sharper. I mean, it's got a little bit of hang up there. It's not an uneven blade. Took me hours to get this paper off the textured stuff there. Again, it is, by my touch, a very smooth edge with a little bite, but getting there. And I think it's one of those shaving sharp blades that maybe lacks a little bit of aggressiveness. I haven't stropped this, but it's a great candidate for stropping. And you pick one up. I'm sure if you're adept at sharpening, that'll be one of the first things you do, but it ain't a dull knife by any means. Here is, I believe, the TS433, just showing you a few other night morning designs. This is a cool little kind of semi-tanto deal that he came out with, oh God, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And this is before they were putting any numbers on the blade. You had to kind of memorize your knives. Probably created a lot of hobbyists for TwoSun, in that you wouldn't remember what the heck the knife was because it isn't on the box and it isn't on the blade. I mean, it's pretty crazy. For a knife company that turns out beautiful eye candy, I don't know why they don't pick names. Maybe there's so many models. And at least they're beginning to put numbers on them. This is the, let's see if I can just get my notes out here. This is the TS169, another night morning design. I'm not bringing these out because they're similar, only because they were designed by Mr. Night Morning. Look at this, fuller down the middle of the handle, and tiny little tab with no jimping, but can open it fairly easily. And it's kind of like a clip spear, I would call it, with a long, slender handle, TS169, M390 on the steel on this one. This is back when they were rocking some M390, S90V, and some of the better steels. They've gone to a lot of D2 these days, and the K110. Although I did get a knife in that I'll be showing you in a day or two that is N690, which is something they've been doing lately. Interesting blade though, very stick-like. Little bit of jimping there. Probably because it has maybe some possibility of being a front opener, a front flipper. This is probably before they realized that some people might need a little bit more of a platform or jimping in order to open it. And it's got a fairly stiff detent. Anyway, that's the TS169 in M390. This one's D2, carbon fiber. What they did with this one is, wow, they built this up pretty high here. I mean, that inset stands proud of the handle. They didn't make any effort with this one to match the level of the titanium. Nonetheless, it's an attractive knife, but only on one side. There is a huge variety of TwoSun knives. I would say they've got more variety when you go back, like I've been collecting them like 4 years, something like that. When you go back 4 or 5 years, I don't know how long they've been making knives, but you will see an incredible variety of designs, materials. There it is next to the Griptilian. So it's a Griptilian sized knife, pretty much. Almost spot on. And blade length, pretty much the same as well. So you got a Griptilian sized knife here. in the TS433 in K110, and we'll say Ultem, which is easier to remember than polyethyramine. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. I will be back with you soon. Take care. Be well. Stay safe.